So it won't surprise anybody, or it won't be anything new to anybody that's been on the channel, watched the channel for any significant time. But for those who do not know, I kind of have a love affair with the Gibson Dove. It is a slightly longer scale length. It is what I think is a little more upscale guitar, but it is a 6 Spruce top maple back and sides guitar, and this one is no exception to that. The beauty of that is you frequently get figured maple on these guitars on their back and sides. That being said, there is another guitar in the lineup that has a spruce and maple combination, and that is the SJ-200. Now the SJ-200 has a little bit different build, of course, a different body shape because it's a super jumbo instead of the dreadnought that is the Dove. Now, my love affair with the Doves goes back to my childhood because my dad had one as a boy, and so it's the very first guitar that I ever picked up. And they have a sound that is distinctly Dove. And if you've ever put a Dove next to a Hummingbird, you know that a Dove and a Hummingbird do not sound the same. And I'm not sure if it's the woods or if it's something else inside of it, or if it's possibly the 25.5 versus the 24 3/4 scale length. But no matter what it is, the Dove has its own sound. Now, these strings are a little old, so they are not the best interpretation of this guitar. They're a couple of years old. The guitar itself is the end of 2022 build. Like I say, this guitar, though, does represent what I think is your classic dreadnought sound, or a sound that you would normally get from a dreadnought. And of course, it's got the looks to be all over it. Now that said, the SJ-200 has its own vibe. And not until I picked this guitar up after playing the J200 did I realize how different they are in their tonal qualities. So today we are doing two things: spruce and maple guitar compared to spruce and maple guitar, but also LR bags, non-element, I think it's the element pickup, or LR bags VTC, maybe it's the VTC, but anyway, it's the LR bags that does not have the piezo versus the LR bags that does have the piezo in the SJ-200. So to start off, get a few more strums on the Dove, and then pick up the SJ-200. Now, admittedly, again, not the best strings on this one, but might have a rematch later on. And we're back with the SJ-200. So these strings ring better, but they are also significantly newer. So I'm going to give that a tie. But the bass response on this guitar is greater than that of the Dove. And it should be, because it's a bigger guitar. I mean, putting them next to each other, you'll get to see the absolute difference between these two. I mean, they are definitely not the same on pretty much any level. Though similar at their bouts, the Jumbo is a bigger guitar. And that's just the nature of the Super Jumbo. That's why it's called the Super Jumbo. So, in case you missed the last one, I'm going to turn the Anthem setup on and play it through the Fender FA-100. Now let's see what the Dove can do. Alright, so now we're on the Dove. It has an LR bags as well, but it's a different setup. It doesn't have the piezo that the SJ-200 is. So the SJ-200 does have a more premium actual pickup setup. So it's a little bit better, but the Dove has its very own sound again and plays just like you would think it would. Now, the pickup setup on this one has a mid-ground piece setting on the actual tone. And we're slightly biased towards the bass side of that treble, that setting. Again, if you go all the way to the bass side, and then if you go all the way to the treble side, or no, that's the opposite. This is the bass side, and this is the treble side. So we are setting it just towards the bass side. So the Dove in amongst itself is its own deal, and it is definitely spread across it because it is set up differently. The sound itself in the room, I personally like the Dove better, but that's, again, I have a love affair with the Dove. I do like something that for a, significantly less expensive guitar is on this guitar versus the other one, and that is you have a pick guard that is like hand engraved, and it could just be something on the actual SJ-200 that I have, but the one that I have is much like the Hummingbird that I have, and the Hummingbird I think is the way it is because it was a prototype. But this guitar, when you pick this up, this has no engraving or anything. It's just a cover over it. It's just a plastic cover. See how that reflects? And then you come back over here and you'll see that it's hand engraved. It doesn't reflect across the whole thing on the Dove. And that's nothing against the actual, that's nothing against the SJ-200. It's just, I kind of wish it was different. And you have to turn this thing way down to make it where it's like the transducer on the Dove it's a lot more sensitive than the Anthem setup is. And that probably is a benefit to the Anthem because you have more flexibility. But you go from nothing to amplified and then really loud. And you do it pretty quick. And that's that can be, in a live setting, that would be very tough to handle. The Anthem is a better setup. So the question is $5,400 and approximately $4,400. So there's about $1,000 difference between the two. Is it worth it to get the SJ-200? It depends on what you play. If you need that bass response, the J200 is gonna really give it to you. I mean, I like the bass response of the Dove better, but I recognize that the SJ-200 has a better bass response. So if you need that depth, that's probably going to be your better bet. But if you're looking for a guitar that can do everything and that you can sing on top of, I think you can save yourself $1,000 and get the Dove, and you get the same spruce and maple. Now you don't get the cool, because you have mahogany in the neck, so you don't get the cool skunk stripe that the SJ-200 has, but the only person that can see it is you. So is that really a big deal? Anyway, so hope this helped a little bit. Like I say, if you were thinking about one versus the other, or if you just didn't realize there was two different spruce top with maple back and sides guitars in the Gibson lineup, now you do. And again, I also like these tulip or keystone, however you put them, versus the little kidney bean tuners. I like these better. It's maybe my big fat fingers just grip them better, but I find that they're significantly easier to grip onto when tuning. Not that I do a lot on these guitars, but when you do it, it feels better. It's a little bit wider, better channeling for your finger. Overall, I think it's just a better setup. So again, personal preference. I have a love affair with Doves. So anyway, till next time.